Welcome back to the next instalment of Rugby 365 TV. And today's guest, John Dobson, Western Province Under-21 coach. And I couldn't think of a better person to get opinion on what we're going to discuss today, which is the squad of the World Cup. Let's start at the back, and I think there can't be much debate about it. At number 15, there's a suggestion for Israel Dag being fullback of the tournament. Good player, and he played well this tournament.
Yeah, there was no debate. I don't think anybody came close.
Okay. James O'Connor has been chosen as one of the wings. On the other wing, Digby Wane. I think there might be a little bit debate here, but they did also have equally good tournaments, I think.
Probably a poor reflection on the state of wing play that O'Connor's even in that side. I know there's a campaign by some for Hogarth. Geez, there's nobody really stands up at the wing to me here.
If we look at the centres, I think Conrad Smith, it goes without saying, he's had a wonderful tournament and we're happy there. But potentially Jamie Roberts, maybe Ma Nanu, that's a difficult one.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Nonu is probably the outstanding back of the tournament. So I'm surprised we've gone with Roberts. You know, he dropped that crucial ball at the end. He disappeared later on in the tournament. He was outstanding, of course, as we know, against Ireland. But his his semi-final was probably enough for me to see Nonu in that position.
I actually went with Roberts at 12 and Nonu at 13 because I couldn't separate the two. I thought they were the two best centres of the tournament. I thought Roberts was outstanding. I think he took a bit of a knock against Ireland, and I think since then he went a bit downhill, and I think that's why he wasn't good in the semi-finals. I think Nonu, like John said, was probably the outstanding back of the tournament, so I got outvoted there in that one.
The thing with Nonu is that he's got genuine feet. Not many 12s that can break a line. You know, it's more a third, like how he suggests is probably right from the point of view that Nonu can break a line. But have a 12 who can do that. You know, Jamie Roberts is more of a solid, takes the ball up, makes yards every single time, but his feet aren't going to get him through a hole.
Then if we get to number 10, I think that's also another contentious issue. 365 suggested Reece Priestland at number 10. I know Dan Carter would be every single person in New Zealand and then some suggestion.
I think the madness of the French was illustrated by when Tron Duke came on. I thought he was probably the most complete flower after Carter we'd seen the whole tournament. You know, he was outstanding when he came on in the final. And they chose Para as scrum off there. Probably, you know, it's a reflection of the French, and it's suicidal. So in the absence of Tron Duke, if you can't say 65 minutes in the final is enough, then I think Priestland was probably the next best. Are we discounting Carter, are we?
In my mind, there's only one number 10 in the world, and that's Dan Carter. He's the most complete. Tron Duke, like John said, in his 60-odd minutes came the closest. I think it's, again, a sad indictment on the number 10s on offer. Morné Steyn was the leading point scorer, yet he got knocked out in the quarterfinals. So it again proves that goal kicking wasn't really that good. You know, Wales, the staggering stat is that Wales left 55 points on the field at the World Cup. They missed 55 points worth of kicks.
And they lost, the total of the games sort of margin of defeat, I think over the 3 games was 5 points. You know, the 1 point to South Africa, the couple to France, exactly. The 1 to France and the 3 to Australia, so 5 points in 3 games.
Yeah.
We get on to the back 3 and the scrum, and what's been suggested by 365, Emmanuel Haranodiki, Richie McCaw, Jerome Kleiner, all great suggestions. I think one guy that might feel hard done by Thierry Dussautoir.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic loose trio. I would go for Dussautoir because, you know, the French got to the final. I mean, the All Blacks, it's relatively easy in that All Black side of stars, you know, but he took a really average French side. And from a leadership, his defence, I just think, you know, he dragged the team by its sort of shortened curlies into the final. I think it probably, to my mind, edges him okay. Have a tight corner.
Then if we look at some of the tight guys, Victor Matfield, Brad Thorne have been suggested as locks. Donny Rousseau bubbling under, as well as James Hall from Oz. What do you think?
It doesn't fill with any of that fill you with much confidence, does it? I think Matfield outstanding in that quarter final. I mean, I think he turned over 5 of the first 7, whatever he turned over lineouts. So I think Matfield's fine. But geez, if you're going to go to a 36-year-old journeyman called Brad Thorne, it shows a bit of lack of depth in world rugby. I think. I couldn't. Hard to name the French locks that played in the final. We recognise them if they're in this room.
Yeah, the Frenchmen, obviously, again, I think, same with Dussautoir, because of the semi-final and the final, suddenly everybody was talking about the Frenchmen. There's a couple of Fijians with very long surnames that got stuck in at times. You know, Thorne also actually had quite a quiet final. He was quite inspirational, I think, in the semi, and I think a guy like James Hall will actually sort of play quite nicely for the Australians, got stuck in. I think Australia actually made a bit of a mistake by not playing Sharp in the semi-final. I think Sharp actually, he played his 100th test in that third place playoff. And he's an outstanding player. Robbie Dean's compared him to Matfield, probably a bit of a stretch, but he's probably there, Victor Matfield.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I think the front 3, Nicolas Mas from France, we have Bismarck du Plessis, who had an outstanding tournament, and then someone else played really well, Gotha Steenkamp. Any in particular stand out for you?
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing of this exercise is to see there's one player who stands on his position by daylight. That's Bismarck du Plessis. I don't think there's any comparison with him close to any other hooker. Certainly not with Moore, not with Mialamu, not with Steve Thompson. I just don't see, he's by far and away the best hooker in the world. It's probably the easiest of all these selections. which is quite nice.
As per normal, we will be giving away some prizes this week. Howie's got one of which is a pair of Addy Zeros, which you can win by emailing to the address below. Of course, we're also giving away another pair of those and the New Zealand All Black Rugby jersey. So that'll be even more valuable this week, so get your entries in. And that's it for this week. Thanks, Dobbo.
That's good.
Thanks, Howie, and we will see you again next week.